Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio.
Franchise interviews from Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia. You're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Welcome to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 8 years, we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. We're meeting with Nate Malloy, the Chief Operating Officer of Profile by Sanford. And Profile by Sanford is a comprehensive weight management program designed by Sanford Health physicians and scientists as a simple, effective, and sustainable solution. We're going to talk to Nate about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we got a great show.
Are you looking for a franchise that delivers? Businesses will always need shipping, and for more than 25 years, loyal customers have depended on Unishippers for reliable savings and exceptional customer service. Unishippers is focused on just one thing: helping small and medium-sized businesses save time and money on all their shipping needs. And as the largest reseller of complete shipping services in the country, we have the buying power to ensure that we succeed. The Unishippers franchise offers low startup costs, no equipment or real estate required because they're not retail, residual income, and a quality of life and work-life balance. For more information on becoming a Unishippers franchisee, go to www.unishippers.com and click Franchise Opportunities or call Franchise Development at 801-708-5822. That's 801-708-5822.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 8 years, we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Nate Malloy, the Chief Operating Officer of Profile by Sanford. And Profile by Sanford is a comprehensive weight management program designed by Sanford Health physicians and scientists as a simple, effective, and sustainable solution. Hey Nate, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Great. How are you, Marty?
I'm doing well, Nate. Thanks for coming on the show today. We always like to ask our guests where you're calling from this morning.
I am in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Ah, lucky you. Okay, how's the weather there today?
It's a typical winter day here in Sioux Falls. Not bad.
It is. Okay. Well, it's the same thing here. It's pretty cold in Pennsylvania today, so that's fantastic. We always like to we'll start off. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about maybe like your background, how you got involved with Sanford, Nate.
Sure. I started off my career as an attorney in Des Moines, Iowa, and was fortunate enough to get lined up with some friends and was help them start a group fitness concept in Des Moines, and quickly found my passion for health and wellness. And after being in the legal industry for about 10 years, I decided to make that switch and pursue this. So
that's a great switch out too. I mean, you still, of course, get to use all your experience that you've learned, in the past, and apply it to, of course, what you're doing now. Profile by Sanford has, a very interesting history. Maybe we could, talk a little bit about, how the company got started and everything like that.
Absolutely. So a little over 3 years ago, our CEO of Sanford Health, a fully integrated health system here, had a vision to do something to provide not only our employees but the communities that we served with a solution for weight loss and weight management. And so in October of 2012, we launched our first location here in Sioux Falls, and since then have now grown to 21 locations.
Wow, that's fantastic. It must be great for you, too. I mean, being the Chief Operating Officer, I mean, I guess, of course, you get to see the results. And, this morning we were, on the website, of course, and, we saw, some of the clients that, of course, have used your program. Of course, the one that specifically stood out was Jared, was it Gerbis? I guess he lost like 165 pounds, using the service, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, he had great results, and in fact has become an employee of ours, and is now sharing the knowledge that he gained as a member with future existing members and future members.
That's fantastic. I mean, and it must be a great feeling for you too, Nate. I guess you know what I mean, to get to see those results. What's that like for you?
I think it is a big part. It is the main reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I think fortunately it's the same thing for the rest of our team members, is to really see the impact that we can have on providing tools for people to help them, which in many cases has been a lifelong challenge. And so it's extremely rewarding to watch the work that we're doing make that impact on people's lives.
It's interesting, as we were, describing in the introduction of the show today, we characterized or described your franchise as being simple, effective, and a sustainable solution. And that's really what people want, isn't it? I mean, when we're talking about weight loss, maybe, you can describe, Profile by Sanford, to our listeners, and, what makes you different from everyone else out there.
I think one of the main things is the fact that we are backed by the physicians and the experts within our health system who've really done a fabulous job on designing the program and the protocols behind it. Yeah. We take a fully integrated approach, so it's a coach-based model. One of the things that I think people have a problem with or challenge in weight loss is the accountability aspect. And so I think by focusing in on high-quality coaches with backgrounds in nutrition or exercise science in particular, it helps our members to stay focused, and that accountability piece is really big for them.
Oh, absolutely. That is so important. And, we were looking at the technology that's involved in your business as well, and there's some pretty interesting things going on with technology. Maybe we could talk a little bit about that, Nate.
Yeah, so all of our members receive a body impedance scale that is easy to plug into their home internet, connects them into our servers so that the member can watch their progress on things like their body fat percentage, their hydration levels, and of course their weight. It's just another way to tie the members back into, there's an accountability aspect to that. It also helps our coaches monitor the progress and make adjustments to our members' plans along the way.
It's so much more than a scale, too, isn't it? Like if you think of the old days, just getting on like just a scale and that's it. You know what I mean? And just seeing your weight, go up and down. I mean, this is so much more sophisticated. I mean, we were really like impressed with the technology. The industry that you're in, I mean, is a pretty big industry. I mean, are there any numbers, up to date numbers as far as the industry?
I've seen a lot of publications throw around numbers like $22 billion if you exclude the diet soda industry. If you include diet soda, it's more like 60+ billion. So it's a large industry.
That's incredible. So what types of characteristics will you look for in your franchisees, Nate? I mean, the majority of our listeners, they want to get into franchising, and they have it in the back of their mind that they want to get into franchising. What types of characteristics will Profile by Sanford be looking for?
I think first and foremost, we're looking for people that are passionate about this industry. And, whether that has a direct correlation professionally, doing something within health and wellness previously, that's certainly something we're looking for. People that have experience running and owning their own business is always a plus.
Sure.
But first, it really goes back to that passion about what we're doing in health and fitness.
Oh, absolutely. What about the training? What's that like, Nate? I mean, once someone decides, you like them, they like you, and you decide to, go forward with them, how does the training work? I mean, do they come out to your location or headquarters?
Yeah, so we have everybody come into our headquarters here in Sioux Falls, and they go through a week-long training. The focus of that training is really on the coaching aspect of our program. And then we do a week on-site with all locations that we open and all their staff. And we'll stay there for up to 3 to 10 days after a location opens to do some additional training.
That's important. I'm sure it gives your franchisees that comfort, too, you know what I mean, of just in the beginning phases. It must be a little, of course, stressful, starting their own business and everything like that. So I think that's important to, kind of like be with them at that time. What is a typical day like for your franchisees, Nate? I mean, from like the moment they start their day till, the middle and everything else in between. How does that work?
A typical day in one of our locations is a combination of many things. First and foremost, of course, it is taking care of the members that are within their doors and making sure they are receiving the best experience possible and that we're helping them reach their goals. It's also a lot of talking and networking with people in the local communities to help people understand the services that we do provide. So as an owner, they're going to spend a lot of time doing business development. They're going to spend a lot of time, really focusing in on being an expert in the coaching aspects of what we do. So, it's a combination of spending a lot of hours in the store with the coaches and our members, but also out in the community talking about how we can be a tool for employers, for their employees, also for physicians and their patients.
I guess that's where the passion comes in, right, Nate? I mean, as far as, the passion for the business, because you're talking about the business all the time, that passion certainly helps you speak with conviction. And it's kind of interesting, and we were talking about the market or the industry. I mean, it seems like if we were to ask most people, if they're, I hate to use the word dieting, but are interested in losing weight, it seems like it's a pretty big market, isn't it? And if you were to ask 10 people, it seems like most people want to lose a little weight, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I saw a statistic that if you took nice round numbers, 300 million people in the U.S., 200 million of those people have a need.
That's
and
incredible.
Over 110 million have self-activated. So they are out doing some sort of diet, and not only one, but they'll try 3 or 4 a year. So there certainly is a big segment of our population that are interested in this, and they want to do that. And that doesn't necessarily mean they have 60, 100, 200 pounds to lose. There's people out there that have 5, 10 pounds that they'd like to lose, and that's something that our program can help them with.
And those are sometimes, as you say, the last 5, 10 pounds are sometimes the most difficult, aren't they?
Absolutely.
It's something. Most of our listeners, as I was mentioning earlier, Nate, I mean, they have it in the back of their mind that they want to go into franchising. We find that a lot of them they just don't know where to begin. What advice would you give to our listeners in their quest to buy a franchise?
I think they need to really understand the people that they're going to be working with. So doing a lot of homework on the background of the company, how it started, the history, the support that the franchisor has in place. I think that's really important. But ultimately, again, it goes back to why I'm here doing what I am doing, and you have to be passionate about what you're getting yourself into. And so if you're passionate about weight loss and you're passionate about health and wellness, our business could be a great fit for that entrepreneur. If they're passionate about, a restoration company, whatever it is, find your passion and start there, and then really do your homework. I think those are the two most important things.
It seems like it's a feel-good type of business as well. You know what I mean? I imagine to get to, and you've experienced this probably many times, is to get to see the results of your clients must be an amazing feeling. And I guess your franchisees get that as well, don't they?
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. So what are the plans for the future then, Nate? I mean, if you had to look, 3 to 5 years down the road, I guess I can ask you as the Chief Operating Officer, where do you see the company?
We're at, as I mentioned, 21 locations open today with another 5 in development. when we first laid out our 5-year plan, which would have been 2 years ago, our plan was to be at 100 locations. So in the next 3 to 4 years, I'd say we're right on target to do that. So 100-plus locations in the next 3 to 4 years. If things go really well, I wouldn't be surprised to see us at well over 200 locations in that time frame.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. What's the best way for our listeners to get more information on becoming a franchisee, Nate? Is there any websites that you'd like them to go to or any numbers that you'd like them to call?
Sure. If they go on to our website at profileplan.net,
okay,
there is a franchise tab at the top banner of our website. They can click on that tab and there'll be more information there for them.
That's fantastic. I want to thank you again for coming on the show, Nate. I'd already like to invite you back next year as you continue to grow. I think this is a great opportunity. It was very impressive looking at all the different technology and everything like that. So I think you guys got a great franchise opportunity.
Thank you as well, Marty.
My pleasure, Nate. We'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Franchise interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia. You're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 8 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com. Or you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Hi everyone, this is Marty McDermott from Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. And today's podcast is being brought to you by Franchise Times Magazine. Franchise Times is the only magazine that targets both franchisors and multi-unit franchisees, and is a must-read for anyone looking to buy a franchise. You know, Don and I have been hosting Franchise Interviews now over 4 years and over 200 shows, and during that time we've had some incredible quotes on our show. The nice thing about hosting franchise interviews is we're frequently asked to be guests on radio shows and magazine interviews on the topics of entrepreneurship and franchising. And today you're going to get to hear an interview that we did 6 months ago on CBS Radio with Lynn Johnson on her motivational talk show. And of course the topic was entrepreneurship and franchising. And here's what we said. I think you guys will enjoy it.
Hey, did you ever think about buying a franchise? Do you think that now is the worst time to buy one? Or you're not sure whether anyone would loan you money to purchase a franchise? How does the whole thing work? Well, let's find out. We have an expert on the line, Marty McDermott.
Hi, Coach Lynn. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. It's always great to talk to you. I always feel like it's a World Talk reunion, right? We get together.
I know. We started out, guys, a very long time ago. I think we're some of the only people left, aren't we?
I know. It's amazing, isn't it? But and it seems like yesterday that we started, Lynn. You know?
It really does.
It's just incredible. But it's the success that you've had is just wonderful to watch, though. I mean, it's just incredible.
Thank you so much. And yours has been pretty fantastic. You know, Marty, just over the break, when I announced that you were going to be here talking about franchises, I got a tweet from Alice and a lot of other people, but I selected Alice's tweet.
Oh, good.
Because she says that her family has owned the same bagel shop for over 35 years.
Wow.
But now they're going to have to close because the business has slowed and their debts are too high. She wonders if setting up her own franchises could save their business. So, Marty, I know you're an expert and you host that wonderful show called Franchise Interviews on Blog Talk Radio.
That's right.
Are franchises for everyone?
Oh, great question, Lynn. It's a deep question, and definitely not. In fact, you know what? If I can quote my friend Dr. John P. Hayes, franchising is not for everyone, and it's probably not for most people. And when I say that, you know, the first time I heard that phrase, Lynn, I was a little confused because I said, if franchising isn't for everyone and it's not for most people, then who could it be for? You know, it's but
franchising is really for someone who knows how to follow rules, follow systems. They're not a true entrepreneur. When I say that, sometimes franchisees get upset because they say, "What are you talking about?" I consider myself an entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is really the person that actually creates the franchise opportunity. And when you're talking about franchisors or entrepreneurs, they're really, and you know this, Lynn, they're very creative people.
Mm-hmm.
They can look at something.
I could never follow rules, Marty.
Exactly, and they could just create something out of anything. Franchisees, and it was funny because I was in Virginia, George Mason University, on Friday talking about this topic. And one of the topics I was talking about was military being good candidates for franchises because they know how to follow a system, So you really have to know how to follow a system, like to follow rules. And if you can't do that, then it's probably not for you, Lynn. So, it's always a word of caution before getting into franchising.
Now, I know that you say that there are two key factors that should be present before you consider buying a franchise. What are those factors?
Well, it depends. There's a lot of different things. I mean, one is, what do you want the franchise to do for you? And, for example, I'll give you an example. I like Dunkin' Donuts. I frequent Dunkin' Donuts probably several times a week. And as much as I like Dunkin' Donuts and the coffee and the donuts, I wouldn't be a good franchisee for that type of system, because when you buy into a Dunkin' Donuts, you're working some pretty hefty hours.
True.
So one of the questions you have to ask yourself is, what's important to you? You're really taking a deep assessment. And for me, my family is most important to me. So if I wasn't, with my family or my son, like if he has a baseball game one day or whatever it is, I'm going to get very frustrated, even if I'm making a lot of money. So you want to ask yourself, what do you want this franchise to do for you, and what kind of system is the best match for you? There's so many choices out there today, Lynn. I mean, there's like 80 different industries.
Wow.
Franchising. Yeah, a lot of people, when they just think of franchising, they just think of food, but it's actually up to about 80 different industries. There's accounting franchises, there's advertising franchises, there's shoe repair franchises, you name it. It seems like they have it, So you really have to ask yourself, what's the best match for you?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of research. And, of course, you come down to the financials, too. And, McDonald's, as successful as it is, it's almost a home run every single time you have a McDonald's franchise. I can't afford one, So the financial aspects are always a big factor as well. I think to go even deeper, I think you need family support. I think that's important as well, if you're married, I think you have to have that support from your husband or your wife before you get into an opportunity as well, because you're taking them along for the ride with you.
I love that you said that, Marty.
Absolutely.
Do you know what you said? You said you need the support from your husband, which would infer that a woman could easily go in and buy a franchise. I love that.
Absolutely. Well, you can see the influence my wife has on me too, I guess. She's got me trained, Lynn, she's a fan of your show, by the way, too, so you can tell I listen, but absolutely. But it's so true. And, speaking of women, Lynn, I mean, they really do make fantastic entrepreneurs, I mean, it's amazing. I think for the first time, I teach for Kaplan University.
Yes.
And we have, in colleges, for the first time, there's more women in college today than there are men.
And they're older as well.
They're older, so what does that say to you, is there's a lot of exciting trends that are taking place here in the United States, so.
Now, I wanted to ask you about this because I know that they just announced that even Ritz Camera is going to be closing many, many, many of their stores, and I'm kind of heartbroken about that because I'm an amateur professional photographer.
Right.
But my question is, so how do you know if the franchise that you're interested in is even going to be around in the next 5 years?
Wow, it's a great question, and nothing is ever 100% certain. I will say this, that not all franchises are created equal, and what you can do is, look at the company's track record for one. One of the things that you can look at is their franchise disclosure documents, and look at the history of the company. Some companies that just started franchising, they haven't really been around very long, so you're kind of taking a chance in a way. You know, and you can look at how many franchisees they have and things like that. I think there's certain franchises that are always going to be around. I think McDonald's will always be here. They have like 33,000 units. Subway has about 33,000 units. So those ones are pretty safe. It's almost a home run every single time. So there is always that element of risk involved, even when you are buying into a franchise system. You know, of course, you can look at things like the market and things like that and kind of make your own assessments, but
so, Marty, with all that you know, because I have 1 minute left, and I definitely want them to come and listen to you, because I love your show on Blog Talk Radio.
Thanks so much, Lynn.
And I want them to check out your work. It's very, very important. Are franchises still a viable option, even with this economic downturn?
Most definitely. I mean, I think, Lynn, and this is going to sound a little weird, is, you know, one of the interesting effects of the recession I see now is some of the best offers in franchising.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and I've been doing this 10 years now. I mean, I'll give you a couple quick examples. Some franchisers, what they're doing is they're reducing or dropping a franchise fee for their new franchisees. Now, that's pretty significant because a franchise fee usually goes for about $40,000. So they're waiving that. In some cases, there's 2-for-1 deals where if you buy one franchise, they'll drop the franchise fee for the second one.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so it's really, you know, and that's the effect that I've noticed from the recession is really some incredible deals. Even the landlords right now, and I mean, you've noticed there's a lot of great locations available right now.
Yes.
I think, I mean, you want to get those locations because, I mean, a great location can really overcome bad marketing, you know, and there's going to be a lot of people kicking themselves next year. They're going to say, I should have got into that opportunity last year when they waived the franchise fee, when I could have got this killer location in this particular spot. And, you know, landlords are sometimes more willing to give a great lease to a franchise as opposed to, let's say, Tony Subs, who's just like a regular guy. You know?
So somewhere Tony's saying, hey!
Exactly. Tony's upset. But, you know, so they're really getting some incredible deals right now. I think that this is the most exciting time to get into franchising. But again, you know, to quote you, you know, franchising isn't for everyone. It's not for most people. You do have to really do your homework. It's not guaranteed every single time. And, you know, not all franchises are really created equal. There are some that are better than others.
Well, Marty, it's a pleasure to hear your voice and talk to you again.
It's a pleasure to hear your
and
voice, too.
where can my...
I think you're great.
Thank you. I love you, too.
Thanks, Coach Lynn.
Where can my people hear you, do business with you, and all those wonderful things?
Absolutely. Go to franchiseinterviews.com. You can hear over, I think we're up to 160 shows, Lynn, recorded up to this point. Yeah, so it really, when I say that number, I mean, it just really, it tickles my spine because I didn't think that there was going to be a market for this or we'd find like a listening base for it. But, I mean, every single month we have more listeners just like you know. So I haven't quite achieved your success yet, but someday.
Well, thank you so much, Marty. And go check him out. Franchise Interviews on Blog Talk Radio, my dear old friend from World Talk Radio.
Thanks
Marty
so much, Lynn. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, prosper.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Here is